Okay, tonight's session, I'm going to talk about a making of a song called Life's What You Make It by a band called Talk Talk. This song was released in 1985. It was written by Tim Freese-Green and Mark Hollis of the band Talk Talk, and it was written for the album Colour of Spring. It was set to be one of the hits to come off that album. So what I want to do is a tear down and then a build up of that song to show you how it was created. And to do that, I'm going to go into Ableton Live. So I've done all of this in Ableton Live. I've used a number of virtual instruments, and I'll take you through each one of those instruments and show you how they actually make up this song. So the first instrument is the piano, and it's really interesting because the piano riff in this song is really what makes the song, along with probably the tom drums and some of the guitars, and of course Mark Hollis's voice, which goes over the top of that. But it's really a simple construct that just repeats for the entire tune. So make sure that so it is played in A flat, and all that makes up the piano part is just this simple riff. And he hammers it quite hard. That riff just goes on throughout the song, over and over again, and in fact it makes up not only the piano part of the song, but also the bass, because there is no bass guitar. And I think for that low end, they've created the low end with two instruments. One is that piano, and the other the tom drums, which were inspired by Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill. And I'll just play you a quick section of the toms. So a lot of energy that was created in the low end here, and this is how the tom sounded. Let me single up. So that was really the riff that runs through the whole song, of course, along with the drums. It wasn't just the toms and the piano that achieved that, but also the drums. And the drums are very, very straightforward 4/4. And this song is recorded in 4/4 time at the speed of 90 beats per minute. And the drums just basically, again, loop. And every fourth note of every bar, there is a nice tambourine sound which kind of lifts up the whole thing. So if you listen to the drums independently, I'll just play the drum track, cut myself out. So nothing special on those drums there. There is no crashes, there's no variation. It's just continuous. But it achieves the right effect, a nice strong snare sound, and some nice action, with a hi-hat. The hi-hat's there as well. So that's it. Those two instruments together, piano and drums, they make up everything that is the song. But on top of the piano and the drums, obviously, there are other instruments that are bringing some very clever nuances to the songs. So mainly the guitars and the synthesizers, which introduce changes in the chord structure, alongside some fantastic organ sounds. so sort of rotary organ, Leslie or Hammond organ type sounds. So for that I've used a guitar. I use the AGML plugin, Ample. It's called the Ample plugin, Ample Guitar. This is a free plugin, okay? So you can download this for free VST. Just before I get onto that, let me go back to that piano quickly, because for that I used Arturia's Piano V series off the Arturia virtual range, and all I used there was a small American studio piano, so that just gave me that simple. I didn't really change much there. I did use a bit of EQ just to take out some of the higher harmonics that were coming in and just ringing a bit too hard, but that seemed to work quite well. Okay, so back to those guitars again, using the free VST called Guitar, and of course I use Guitar Rig on top of that with some effects pedal components, just to give it that electronic guitar sound that's needed in a song. I mean, without it you just got the Guitar Rig, click that and add it in. Grab a bit. Look a bit more. So let's get that nice ring. Okay, and again, that was just one guitar riff that was the hook for the song, which just played over and over again. So got that. There were a couple of other guitars that, distant synth sound, for which I used an ImpOscar. This sounded more like a guitar though, because it's a very using Guitar Rig on a synthesizer. And for the synths I used the ImpOscar. So ImpOscar is the Oscar 2, or the Oscar synth from the late 70s or early 80s, and that gave me the nice chords, which it's not that one, it's the next one. So that also just runs through the song and gives the song the chord structure. One other synth I used on here as well was the DX7, Yamaha DX7, again from Arturia Instruments. So it's the VST, the soft version, and that was just bleeps, a little bit like the B52s on Planet Claire, where there was almost like a radio. That just came across the top during the verses as well. And then finally, the only other instruments there, because I mentioned there was no bass, so no bass guitar needed for this track, but lots of nice organ. So for the organ parts, I used a B3, some of the presets, the old 70s soul on the B3, so that's your... And the nice thing about this is that rotary sound, right? So you can just turn that on. If I just set that running, hopefully, there we go, try that again. So a B3 organ with all the bells and whistles. There was another funkier organ used as well, which again, I used the B3 organ for that. And the plugin that actually, funny enough, was called Rose from Eden. So sounds like something Talk maybe would have used, but it's more of a rough edge Booker T Green Onion sound, which funny enough was the song that Mark Hollis was playing around with when he wrote Life's What You Make It. It was a combination of the Kate Bush inspired tom drums from Running Up That Hill and Booker T's Green Onions, that nice organ sound. And then the final organ sound, I call it mellow organ. And the reason for that is I think the original instrument was a mellotron. I think that's where they used a mellotron, but it's a very, very sort of distant, higher pitched organ that comes in one of the bridges. But that I've really panned this out to the left, brought it up because that's how it sounds in the song, right? It comes in over the top of everything else, and then it's overridden or overlaid with the other organ sounds. So that's what's going on. That is it. All of that stuff together makes up the song that we know is Life's What You Make It. So without further ado, I'm going to reset this back. I'm going to turn my voice off. Okay, there we have it. Thanks for watching. Again, all this done in Ableton Live. I've listed all the VSTs I'm using as well. Hope that was useful. I will be doing some more breakdowns and build-ups, mainly of 80s kind of stuff, Tears for Fears, Depeche Mode, a couple of others. So stay tuned. Thank you.